The mind is slayer of the real. Hey everybody, it's Carpo, and I wanted to recite this little line that I've been so fond of for so long. And really it's just kind of hit home recently, but the term is an old one, and it's a philosopher term, I guess. I heard it from Manly Hall. I can't remember who he quoted it from originally. But the quote is, "The mind is slayer of the real." And to process that, one starts to think that what it means is the mind is not in control of the body. The mind is in control of the mind, you know. Let me put it a different way. We think that our minds, or our thinking brains, are the highest form of intellect. And we have to break that falsity in order to move forward in individual growth. To realize that the mind and our conscious awareness of things around us are not the true way to believe. They are not the true answers that we seek. They are a completely separate entity. We need to go not by instinct, but by intuition, and there's a big difference there. If we follow our instincts, we're bound to run into trouble. If we follow our intuition, our true heart, and our heart minds, then we're bound to go much further. So, I say this because we block so many new changes for fear of, becoming something that we don't want to be. But my question, I guess, to everyone is, are we happier today? That's the biggest question. I mean, the answer for me is no. People have always liked to tell me as I was growing up that our ancestors were, they struggled and they never had enough food, and look at what we have now. And now that I look at real history, it's not like that at all. People were never struggling. There are plenty of struggling groups, that's no question. But people as a whole were happy. There were plenty of good communities. And the more you learn about history, the more you realize people weren't as bad off as people think. But the question is, through all these scientific endeavors and using the conscious mind, which is slayer of the real, have we built up an environment that is suitable for us? And do we enjoy it? And I say no. And that's the debate I always have with materialists, is that they think that, look at what we've done for ourselves, look at all the things we've created, all the new inventions. And I say, to what end? This is the big question. It's not whether or not science has brought us great things. It's whether or not it's answered the biggest questions. And it hasn't. It's just asking more questions and filling it with stuff. And I just wanted to say, nature is never in conflict with itself. So that's why when you follow the heart, you're bound to come to a conclusion that is always beneficial for the whole. But you have to follow your heart. And like I've said before, the heart has about 40,000 neural cells and neural connections in it, like brain cells. Yes, the heart has brain cells in it. I mean, it's scientific fact. So you can use that to kind of think, okay, so if the heart has brain cells and neural connections, then is the heart thinking? Of course it is. Every part of our body thinks. Every one of our organs is part of a system, just like the planetary system. And we need to recognize that, because it's in all of our hearts. That's what I'm saying, is we know this is true. We know that as above, so below. We know that we're all part of a bigger picture. But we fight it with our minds. So we are slaying the real. And my view is, if nature is by chance and everything just happened by chance, it's amazing, the system that works so perfectly that happened to be by chance. So even if that is the case, even if we are materialists and there is no out there or beyond this, the fact is that nature created us with hearts to lead our minds, regardless of whether or not there's an afterlife, a pre-life, whatever your belief system may be. Living here now and following your heart is what's important. And I think we ignore our hearts too often. And I try really hard not to. But I just wanted to part with saying, go with the flow, because I like to compare it to a philosopher that made a realization one day that water, flowing water, take a river flowing down a mountain. If you break it down to the molecular level, nothing. It's a bunch of dry particles swooping over and over each other. The water is not wet. It's the combination of those particles that makes it appear wet, and the way they flow over each other. Atoms aren't wet. There's no water atoms. Atoms are dry in their own right. So I say that because if you picture water as a bunch of dry particles moving in and out and around each other to create a whole and a flow, that's what humans need to do. We need to stop thinking of ourselves as just this big puddle, but individual dry particles in a stream moving forward, and to move forward and gain strength every day and move our hearts and our minds towards the sea of love and contentment and acceptance. And maybe that sounds cheesy to some people, but it doesn't sound cheesy at all to me. Maybe at one time it would have, but I have to live by example. I can't sit here and talk about the way to live and then go on my daily life and be an aggressive, harsh person. So when I catch myself doing something, I do my best to conquer it, apologize, move forward, get on with life, and there's just no time for animosity. I just want to know, but following the heart. So the mind is slayer of the real, and it's so true. Peace out, everybody. Have a great day.